Hey guys, tonight we're heading to the bustling heart of 19th century Cairo. A place of 1,000 minarets and even more secrets. You're trudging through its dusty, narrow streets, feeling the ancient stones beneath your feet. Stones that have been worn smooth by a millennium of donkey hooves and sandal-clad feet. The air is thick and heavy. A complex perfume of roasted coffee, exotic spices, and something a little less pleasant. Let's just say a lot of folks in this era weren't big on indoor plumbing. The cacophony of the city is all around you. The rhythmic clang of a coppersmith. The haggling cries of a merchant selling silks. And the distant, sonorous call to prayer echoing from a nearby mosque. You probably won't survive the dysentery. Let's be honest. But for tonight, you're safe, enveloped in the sleepy hum of my voice. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Tell me where you are in the comments, and what time it is for you. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're a traveler, a bit of an outsider, and you've heard whispers of a different kind of gathering, a place where the city's usual frenzy gives way to a quiet, hazy tranquility. You've been told it's a place for poets, philosophers, and even some of the city's more disreputable characters. You turn a corner, and the noise of the main street instantly recedes, swallowed by a narrow, shadowed alleyway. The air here is different, too. The sharp smells of the market are replaced by a heavy, sweet aroma, musk and something herbal. Something intoxicating, like burnt honey and old roses. Mainstream historical fact alert. Cairo in the 19th century, under the rule of figures like Muhammad Ali, was a melting pot of cultures and ideas. But its old city still retained a medieval character. A dense maze of alleys and courtyards. This mix of old and new created a unique social environment where traditional and clandestine institutions coexisted. You're walking deeper now, the sounds of the city becoming a faint memory. The walls on either side are old and crumbling, the plaster peeling away to reveal sun-baked brick. You pass a small lamp shop, its faint glow casting long, dancing shadows. There's a certain hush in the air, a sense of something hidden. You're looking for a sign, a marker, but you know better than to expect a neon sign that says, Hashish House. All welcome. No, it's more subtle. It's a certain curtain in a doorway, a particular arrangement of clay pots, or a specific kind of wood smoke that only those in the know would recognize. Historians still argue whether these houses were truly secret, or if they were an open secret, winked at by the authorities as long as they didn't cause trouble. The quirky tidbit here is that in some parts of Cairo, even the city's stray dogs had their own social hierarchies and turf wars. So, if you were a newcomer, you learned to walk with a purpose, so as not to seem like a threat to the canine establishment. Thankfully, this alley is quiet, save for the occasional skitter of a rat, which is a gentle reminder that some things in history are just not glamorous. You keep moving forward, the sweet, smoky scent growing stronger, pulling you along like a ghost on a string. You finally see it, a heavy, unpainted wooden door, set a little further back from the street than the others. It's unmarked, plain, but from beneath it, a sliver of warm, golden light spills onto the cobblestones. You can almost feel the soft murmur of voices from within, a low, contented drone that promises a world away from the dust and din outside. Your journey is just beginning. You found the doorstep to another time, another mindset, and another reality. You reach out, your hand hovering for a moment before pushing the heavy door inward. There's no bell, no knock required. The door creaks open with a soft groan, and you step across the threshold, leaving the dusty, chaotic world of Cairo behind. The first thing that hits you is the light, or the lack thereof. The room is dimly lit, illuminated by a few small oil lamps casting a warm, flickering glow across the space. The air is thick with that sweet, smoky scent, a perfume you'll come to associate with this place. The interior is nothing like you might have imagined. No lavish furnishings or grand decorations. Instead, it's simple, almost austere. Low divans and cushions line the walls, covered in worn but clean fabrics. Patrons, a motley crew of various ages and social classes, are reclined on these cushions, some in hushed conversation, others lost in silent contemplation. You're a bit disoriented at first. The space is smaller than it seemed from the outside. An intimate, rectangular room that feels like a cozy cave. Your eyes adjust to the dim light, and you start to make out the details. There's a small fountain bubbling gently in one corner. Its soft gurgle a calming counterpoint to the distant sounds of the city, which now feel like they belong to another world entirely. The walls are unadorned, painted a simple ochre that catches the lamplight. This isn't a place for show, it's a place for escape. The quiet, respectful atmosphere reminds you more of a library than a den of iniquity. It's a place where people come to get away, to talk or to simply be, away from the prying eyes of the street. It's an interesting little paradox. Mainstream historical fact. While often associated with seedy activities, many of these 19th-century hashish houses served a more complex social function, acting as informal clubs or salons for a cross-section of society who sought a different kind of social interaction. As you step fully inside, the heavy door swings shut behind you with a soft thud, a final, definitive barrier between you and the outside world. The patrons barely glance up. You're a new face, but you're not a spectacle. It's a space where you're expected to mind your own business, and others will mind theirs. This is a place for quiet introspection, not loud proclamations. The quirky tidbit here is that in some of the more high-end establishments, the patrons would be given a small, fragrant orange to hold, a tradition believed to enhance the sensory experience. Whether it worked or just made the place smell a bit nicer is a debate for another time. The room feels heavy with a sense of shared purpose. Even among strangers, everyone here is on a similar journey, even if their reasons for embarking on it are entirely their own. You find an empty cushion along the wall, a plush, worn spot that looks comfortable. You sit down, leaning back against the wall, and feel the day's tension begin to melt away. The quiet hum of conversation washes over you like a soft wave. There's a man with a long, graying beard, his eyes half closed, gently strumming a two-stringed oud. It's music, a barely there melody that seems to drift in the air itself. Historians still argue whether these musical performances were planned entertainment or simply a spontaneous expression of the atmosphere. Either way, it adds to the hypnotic quality of the place. You take a moment to just breathe. Inhaling the sweet, heady air, you realize this isn't just a place to consume hashish. It's a complete sensory experience. A slow, gentle immersion into a different world. It's a far cry from the bustling marketplace. And a little voice in your head, the one that usually tells you to stay alert, is starting to sound sleepy. As you settle deeper into the cushions, you notice the subtle hierarchy of the room. This isn't a free-for-all. There are unspoken rules. A gentle flow to the space. You're in a more open, communal area, but you notice a few patrons have disappeared into smaller, curtained-off alcoves along the walls. These are the more private spaces. The harems, or private chambers, as they were sometimes called. It's not about gender, as the word might suggest, but about privacy. Here, you might go with a small group of friends or a business associate to conduct a more intimate conversation, or simply to be alone with your thoughts. You make a mental note, tucking that information away for later. It's a reminder that this isn't a one-size-fits-all experience. It's tailored to the needs of the patron. The whole setup feels less like a business and more like a carefully orchestrated sanctuary. The clientele is surprisingly varied. You see a man in the simple, rough spun clothes of a laborer, his hands calloused and his face lined with sun and toil. Not far from him, a younger man in a finely embroidered waistcoat, clearly a member of the city's merchant class, reclines with a look of peaceful serenity. And in a corner, a scribe with ink-stained fingers pores over a piece of parchment, occasionally looking up to stare blankly into the distance. This is a place where social boundaries seem to dissolve. The shared experience of being here, and the shared journey they are about to embark on, transcends their station in life outside these walls. Mainstream historical fact. These hashish houses were one of the few places in 19th-century Cairo where people from vastly different social strata could mix and interact on relatively equal footing. It was a great equalizer, much like a modern coffee shop, just with a slightly different menu. The proprietor, a man you now see moving with a quiet grace through the room, seems to know everyone. He offers a gentle nod here, a brief word there, a silent gesture that seems to ask, "Are you well?" He's an older gentleman, his face a roadmap of fine wrinkles, a neatly trimmed gray beard, and eyes that seem to hold the quiet wisdom of 1,000 long nights. He is the master of this house, the guardian of its peace. He glides past you without a word, but his presence is a calming influence. An anchor in the hazy room. A quirky tidbit. Some proprietors would use a specific, almost theatrical, method of lighting the pipes. A small puff of air followed by a quiet crackle. A sound that was, in itself, a part of the ritual and the experience. Historians still argue whether this was a true, practical technique or simply a bit of showmanship to enhance the mystical atmosphere. You'll probably never know for sure, but you find yourself watching, captivated by his every move. You lean back, feeling a delicious tiredness creeping into your bones. The gentle murmur of the voices around you is like a warm blanket, and the faint oud music is a lullaby. The air, thick with the scent of hashish, is a comfort, a promise of a journey to come. You close your eyes for a moment, and you're not a traveler anymore. You're not in Cairo. You're just here. You're floating on a sea of soft sound and sweet smoke. And the world outside, with all its worries and troubles, is a distant shore you've left far behind. The journey into the labyrinth of Cairo was just a prelude. The real journey, the internal one, is about to begin. You feel yourself drifting, a soft smile on your face. You've been here for a little while now, and the initial disorientation has given way to a kind of languid acceptance. The air you're breathing has a subtle sweetness to it that gets into everything. It's not just the smell of the smoke, but a complex perfume of musk, old wood, and maybe a hint of dried fruit. It's a scent that tells a story, and you find yourself just inhaling, letting the heavy air fill your lungs. The vibe is a hush. The conversations are quieter, the movements are slower, and the laughter, when it comes, is a soft, gentle chuckle, never a boisterous guffaw. It's a place where you lower your voice instinctively, not out of fear, but out of respect for the peace of the space. You notice the details now that you're settled. The way the light from the oil lamps dances off the surface of the small fountain, making the water shimmer like liquid gold. The intricate patterns woven into the fabric of the cushions, faded with time but still beautiful. The quiet, almost invisible movements of the proprietor as he glides through the room, checking on his patrons with a silent nod. Mainstream historical fact. Opium dens and hashish houses in the 19th century were not always the wild, chaotic places portrayed in Western fiction. Often, they were quiet, contemplative spaces that offered a refuge from the pressures of daily life. Much like a modern spa or a quiet pub, they were less about a frantic high and more about a slow, gentle escape. You find yourself watching a man across the room. He's staring at a small, intricate pattern on the rug, his eyes glazed, a soft smile on his lips. He's not moving, not talking, just existing. It's a moment of pure stillness in a world that is so often in a hurry. You feel a wave of this same stillness wash over you. The anxiety, the rushing thoughts you had on the way here, have all been replaced by a slow, contented hum. It's the kind of feeling you get on a lazy Sunday afternoon, when the sun is warm and you have nowhere to be. The quirky tidbit here is that in some of these establishments, the proprietors would keep a pet bird in a cage, whose soft, gentle chirping was believed to be a soothing addition to the atmosphere. It's a small touch, but it shows the careful thought put into curating the perfect sensory experience. Historians still argue whether the quiet, calming atmosphere was a byproduct of the hashish itself, or if the proprietors deliberately cultivated this feeling to attract a specific, more introspective clientele. It's probably a bit of both. You lean your head back against the wall, feeling the cool stone against your skin. You close your eyes again, and in the darkness, the faint sounds of the oud and the fountain become more vivid, more present. You're not just hearing them, you're feeling them. The world outside, the noise, the crowds, the heat, all of that is so far away now. You're in a bubble of peace, a soft, warm cocoon, and you can feel yourself starting to drift, not to sleep, but to somewhere else entirely, somewhere deep inside your own mind. It's a journey you haven't taken before, and you're a little nervous, a little excited, but mostly, you're just ready. The air is heavy, the light is dim, and the only thing that matters is this exact moment. Right here, right now. A figure approaches you, a soft smile on his face. It's the proprietor you saw earlier, the man with the wise, gentle eyes. He moves with an almost silent grace. the fabrics of his simple tunic making no sound as he glides across the floor. He carries a small, circular tray made of inlaid mother of pearl, and on it, a few small items rest. He doesn't speak, just kneels a short distance away and offers a gentle nod of greeting. You feel no pressure, no expectation, just a quiet invitation. He is the master of this house, the keeper of the fire and the guardian of its peace. His role is part host, part guide, and part silent observer. He watches over his patrons, ensuring that the atmosphere remains one of calm and contentment. Mainstream historical fact: the proprietors of these houses were often more than just business owners. They were respected figures in their communities, sometimes even seen as spiritual guides or wise men. Their establishments were not just places of commerce but also of sanctuary. He places the tray down between you, and you finally get a closer look at his face. The wrinkles are deeper up close, but they don't speak of hardship. They speak of quiet amusement and long nights of patient watching. His eyes are a warm, dark brown, and they seem to hold no judgment, only an understanding that everyone who comes through his door is seeking something. A brief respite from the world. He gestures towards the tray. On it are a few small pieces of what looks like a dark, compressed resin, not unlike a lump of sweet fudge. It's hashish, of course, but it's a far cry from the raw, unrefined stuff you might imagine. This looks cared for, almost cultivated. The quirky tidbit here is that in some houses, the proprietor would keep a small glass of rosewater nearby, not for drinking, but for guests to dip their fingers in. The scent and cooling sensation believed to enhance the experience. You remember that crocodile dung sunscreen from earlier? It's a nice change of pace. He gestures towards a water pipe resting on the floor beside the tray, its brass body gleaming softly in the lamplight. He is offering you a choice, to partake or to simply observe. The choice is yours, but the implicit promise is that either way, you are welcome here. Historians still argue about the exact social etiquette of these houses. Was it impolite to refuse the offer? Was it expected that you would partake? It's a tricky scholarly debate. You suspect, however, that in a place so steeped in quiet respect, the simple act of being present and non-disruptive is enough. The proprietor waits patiently, a serene, expectant expression on his face. He's not a salesman, he's a host. You nod slightly, and a small smile touches his lips. He reaches for one of the pieces of resin and begins to prepare it. He is a master of this craft, a silent artist. His movements are precise, economical, and practiced. He's not just preparing a substance, he's performing a ritual. This is the heart of the experience, the moment where the promise of the sweet-smelling air becomes a reality. He is the gatekeeper, the master of the house, and he is about to open the door to a world you've only just begun to glimpse. The gentle sound of the fountain, the soft hum of the oud, it all seems to be building to this one quiet moment. You watch, mesmerized, as the ritual of preparation begins. The proprietor, your silent guide, has now set the tray down and begins his work. He's not rushed. Every motion is deliberate and fluid. It's a performance of quiet grace. He reaches for the small piece of resin, and with a small, sharp knife, he begins to finely chop and mince it on the surface of the tray. The sound is almost imperceptible. A gentle scraping, a soft tap. It reminds you of a chef mincing garlic, but with a different kind of focus. The dark, sticky lump is gradually transformed into a fine, crumbly powder, and a different, more potent aroma is released into the air. The sweet, heavy scent you've been smelling for a while now becomes sharper, more herbal, more present. It's a scent of a plant, of the sun and of a long journey. Mainstream historical fact: hashish was often prepared right in front of the patron, not only for the ritualistic effect but also to demonstrate the purity and quality of the product. It was a sign of respect and trust. He then takes a small, clay bowl, no bigger than the top of your thumb, and carefully packs the ground hashish into it. His fingers are nimble and precise. His movements economical. The bowl is small, and the amount is not what you might expect. It's a very measured, controlled dose. This isn't a place for excess, it's a place for a gentle journey, not a frantic sprint. He then lights a small charcoal briquette and places it on top of the packed bowl. The heat from the charcoal begins to gently warm the hashish, causing a thin wisp of smoke to rise. Almost like an offering, The quirkier tidbit here is that in some establishments, they would use a specific type of charcoal made from olive pits, believing that its slow, even burn and subtle aroma would enhance the flavor of the smoke. It's a detail that speaks to the deep traditions and careful attention to the craft. As the bowl warms, he places it carefully into the head of the water pipe, its brass body polished to a dull gleam. The pipe is a beautiful object, an intricate network of brass and glass, with a long, flexible hose culminating in a polished mouthpiece. It's a piece of art as much as it is a tool. The whole process, from the chopping to the packing to the lighting, is a seamless, quiet ritual. Historians still argue about the origins of this specific type of water pipe. Did it come from India, Persia, or was it a local Egyptian innovation? The truth is lost to time, but its presence here is a testament to the interconnectedness of the 19th century world. The proprietor, now finished with his work, places the pipe on the floor beside you, the hose coiled neatly. He nods once more, a final gesture of hospitality, and then retreats, leaving you to your own devices. The pipe is ready. The air around you is thick with the promise of the smoke. A promise that feels less like a thrill and more like a gentle invitation. You look at the beautifully crafted pipe, the glowing charcoal, the wisp of smoke, and you realize that this is more than just a transaction. It's an initiation. The proprietor has done his part. Now it's your turn. The soft gurgle of the fountain in the background seems to be urging you on. A gentle drumbeat to the unfolding of the night. You reach for the hose, feeling its cool, smooth texture, and you know that you are about to take your first step into the hazy world of the Cairo hashish house. You reach for the pipe, your fingers curling around the polished mouthpiece, feeling its cool, smooth texture. It's an object of quiet beauty, a testament to craftsmanship. The body of the pipe, often called a nargila or shisha, is a complex piece of engineering. A wide, glass base, filled with water, sits at the bottom. A long metal stem descends from the top into the water. This is a crucial element. As you draw on the pipe, the smoke is pulled down through the water, which cools and filters it, making for a much smoother, gentler experience than inhaling a direct flame. Mainstream historical fact: the design of the water pipe, while varied across different cultures, is fundamentally based on this same principle of water filtration, a technique that has been in use for centuries across the Middle East and South Asia. The hose you hold is long and flexible, wrapped in a soft, braided fabric that feels pleasant to the touch. The mouthpiece itself is made of bone or polished wood. You notice the care that went into its creation, the way it's been sanded down to an elegant curve, the way it fits so perfectly in your hand. This isn't a factory-made product, it's a handcrafted tool, made with purpose and pride. The quirky tidbit here is that in some of the more exclusive houses, the proprietor would use a different mouthpiece for each guest, not just for hygiene, but as a symbolic gesture of personalized hospitality. Historians still argue whether this was a widespread practice or a niche luxury, but it speaks to the high value placed on the guest's comfort and experience. You take a deep breath, and then you put the mouthpiece to your lips. You draw in slowly, steadily, and you hear the water inside the pipe begin to gurgle softly. It's a gentle, rhythmic sound, almost like a lullaby. The smoke that fills your lungs is surprisingly cool and smooth, with a taste that is earthy and sweet, a mix of the herb itself and the subtle flavor of the charcoal. There's no harsh burn, no coughing fit, just a soft, pleasant intake. You hold the smoke for a moment, and then you exhale a long, thin plume that hangs in the air for a moment before dissipating into the hazy atmosphere of the room. You watch it go, a physical manifestation of your first step into this world. You feel a warmth spreading through you, not a sharp, sudden heat, but a gentle, slow warmth that starts in your chest and radiates outward, down to your fingers and toes. It's the beginning of the journey. The world around you doesn't change suddenly. The lights don't flash, the colors don't pop. Instead, everything just softens. The edges of the shadows seem less harsh, the murmur of voices less distinct, the sound of the fountain more musical. Your body feels lighter, your mind calmer. The frantic thoughts of the day, the worries, the to-do list, they all seem to fade into the background. Like a forgotten dream, the proprietor's silent ritual of preparation, the meticulous craftsmanship of the pipe, it all makes sense now. This isn't about a frantic escape, It's about a slow, gentle immersion. It's about taking a moment to breathe, to be, and to let the world outside simply fade away. As you settle into this new state, you find yourself listening more intently to the quiet symphony of the room. The conversations, once a vague murmur, now feel more distinct. You're not necessarily eavesdropping, but the words seem to float to you on the haze. A group of men in a far corner are engaged in a passionate but hushed debate about the price of imported coffee beans. They're talking numbers, logistics, the unpredictable nature of trade routes. But their voices are soft, almost philosophical. It's a business meeting, but it's happening at a pace that feels more like a slow, meandering river than a rushing stream. Mainstream historical fact. These houses were often used as informal business centers. A place where deals were struck and alliances were formed away from the prying eyes of the public. They were the original gentleman's club, in a way, but with more smoke and fewer cigars. In another corner, a younger man, perhaps a student of some kind, is reciting poetry to a small, appreciative audience. The words are in Arabic, but you can feel the rhythm and the emotion, a sense of longing and beauty that transcends the language barrier. His voice is a low, gentle rumble, and his hands, as he speaks, move in small, expressive gestures. The others listen, their eyes half closed, a look of peaceful contemplation on their faces. It's a reminder that this place is a salon as much as it is a smoking room. It's a place for the exchange of ideas, for the sharing of art, for the kind of intellectual and creative ferment that only happens when people are truly relaxed and open to new perspectives. The quirky tidbit here is that many of the great poets of the era, whose work is still celebrated today, are said to have composed some of their most inspired verses in the hazy atmosphere of these very houses. Historians still argue whether the hashish was a creative catalyst or simply a relaxing influence that allowed their minds to wander more freely. You lean back, feeling a delicious drowsiness begin to creep in. Your own thoughts, which were so loud before, have become soft whispers. You find yourself drifting, listening to the snippets of conversation that float by. A man telling a long, convoluted joke that ends in a quiet burst of shared laughter. A scholar discussing the historical inaccuracies of a popular play. A traveler sharing stories of a city you've never heard of. You're not a part of these conversations, but you're a part of the atmosphere. A quiet observer in a world of whispers and shared secrets. The feeling is one of profound peace. You're not alone, but you feel completely at ease in your own solitude. The hashish isn't forcing you to engage, it's simply allowing you to be present, to absorb the gentle rhythm of the room without any need to participate. It's a unique kind of social experience, a kind of shared silence, a collective meditation on the soft edges of the world. You close your eyes, and the conversations become a soft, melodic hum, a soundscape that is both comforting and completely mesmerizing. You're no longer just in a room, you're in a living, breathing story, and you're watching it unfold around you, one quiet whisper at a time. As the hashish works its way through your system, you find your mind wandering to other ways people might experience this substance. You've heard whispers of those who don't smoke it at all, who instead choose to ingest it. This is a different path entirely, a less common, and arguably more perilous one. The proprietor, in his quiet way, had pointedly offered you a pipe, and you can see now why. Smoking is a controlled, almost ritualistic experience, a way to gently introduce the substance into your body. Eating it, on the other hand, is a bit of a crapshoot. You're told the effects are far more unpredictable. The onset is slower, and the journey itself can be a wilder, less manageable ride. You recall a story you heard in a different city, a cautionary tale whispered in a market stall, about a merchant who, in a fit of bravado, ate a large piece of hashish on a bet. He thought he was prepared, that he knew what to expect. Instead of the gentle serenity of the hashish house, he was plunged into a chaotic, terrifying hallucination. He saw giant scorpions dancing in the marketplace and swore his beard was growing into a venomous snake. The effects lasted for a full day, and when he finally came back to himself, he was a changed man, swearing off the substance forever. Mainstream historical fact. Tales of hashish-induced madness and wild visions were common in the 19th century. A reflection of the unpredictable nature of ingesting a psychoactive substance without a controlled dosage. These stories, whether true or exaggerated, served as a kind of folk wisdom, A warning to those who might be too careless in their consumption. The quirky tidbit here is that in some parts of the Middle East, a form of edible hashish called ma'jun was made, a sweet confection of honey, spices, nuts, and hashish. This was a much more controlled and delicious way to ingest the substance. And it was often shared during festivals or special occasions. It was the special brownie of its day, just with a lot more historical gravitas. Historians still argue about the true story behind the term assassin, a word that some scholars believe is derived from Hashishin, or hashish eaters, a group of Nizari Ismailis in the Middle Ages who were said to consume hashish to fuel their fanaticism. The veracity of this claim is highly debated, but the story has definitely become a part of the Western folklore surrounding the substance. You shudder slightly at the thought of a journey so uncontrolled. The gentle, peaceful atmosphere of the house, the quiet rhythm of the water pipe, the slow unfolding of the present moment, this is a far more appealing path. You're not here for a frantic, wild ride, you're here for a gentle escape, a quiet moment of reflection. The stories of the hashish eaters, the men who plunged into a chaotic world of their own making, are a good reminder of the wisdom of your current path. This quiet, hazy room, with its soft music and its patient proprietor, feels less like a vice and more like a carefully maintained garden of the mind. You take another slow draw from the pipe, and you feel the soft warmth spread through you once more, a comforting reassurance that you are on the right journey. The world around you has begun to subtly shift. It's not a dramatic, movie-style hallucination, but a quiet, internal reordering of your senses. The first thing you notice is the sound. The low, gentle melody of the oud is no longer coming from a specific corner of the room. It seems to be emanating from everywhere at once. A part of the air itself. The gentle gurgle of the water pipe as you take another draw is no longer a simple mechanical sound. It's a rhythmic, organic beat, a kind of internal pulse that feels connected to your own heartbeat. Mainstream historical fact: the effects of hashish are highly subjective and dose-dependent. But one of the most common experiences is a heightened sensitivity to sensory input, particularly sound and touch. You close your eyes, and the darkness behind your eyelids isn't empty anymore. It's a soft, shifting canvas of colors and shapes, like a slow-motion kaleidoscope. When you open them again, the simple patterns on the rug seem to have a new life to them. The geometric lines and faded floral designs shifting and weaving together in a slow, hypnotic dance. The light from the oil lamps isn't just a simple glow, it's a warm, living thing, casting long, dancing shadows that seem to have a character of their own. It's as if the world has been repainted in a softer, more vibrant palette, and you're seeing it for the first time. The quirky tidbit here is that in some accounts from the era, people would describe seeing auras or halos around the oil lamps, an optical illusion that was a common and often cherished part of the experience. Your body feels both heavy and light at the same time. You're sunk deep into the cushions, your limbs feeling weighted and relaxed, but your mind feels like it's floating, untethered from the usual anxieties and worries. The usual filters are gone. A simple glance at the crack in the wall isn't just a sign of decay, it's a fascinating, intricate fissure. A roadmap of time. A distant voice isn't just a piece of conversation, it's a profound observation on the nature of reality. Everything feels infused with a deeper meaning, a quiet profundity. Historians still argue about whether these altered perceptions were truly a form of insight or simply a trick of the mind. Was the hashish unlocking some hidden truth? Or was it just making you more susceptible to finding meaning in the mundane? You're not entirely sure, but in this moment, you're leaning towards the former. You feel a gentle smile on your face. This is not the wild, chaotic ride you imagine from the cautionary tales of the hashish eaters. This is a slow, gentle immersion, a peaceful journey into the depths of your own consciousness. The sounds, the colors, the simple feeling of the fabric beneath your fingers, it's all part of a single, beautiful moment. The world outside, with all its noise and its demands, has completely disappeared. There's only this room, this hum, and this soft, floating feeling. You take another slow, deliberate draw from the pipe, and you can feel the warmth spreading through you again. A gentle wave carrying you further out to sea, away from the shore of the mundane, into the deep, quiet ocean of your own mind. The visual and auditory distortions are now fully in effect. But they're not unsettling. They're like a soft blanket. A new way of perceiving the world. You're watching the smoke you exhale. It's no longer a simple puff of gray, it's a living, swirling entity. A miniature galaxy of light and shadow. And you watch it as if it holds the secrets of the universe. The patterns in the rug aren't just shifting anymore, they're flowing. Like a slow-motion river of color. And you find yourself completely absorbed in its journey. Mainstream historical fact. Many accounts from this era describe a heightened sense of aesthetic appreciation under the influence of hashish. Where simple objects or pieces of art could take on an almost divine beauty. It was a way for people to find wonder in the mundane. The music of the oud from across the room has become your sole companion. The notes are no longer just notes, they're emotions, feelings, and memories. A low, resonant chord feels like a deep, ancient sadness. A high, bright note is a moment of pure joy. It's as if the music is speaking directly to your soul, bypassing the logical parts of your brain entirely. You're not just listening to music, you're feeling it, experiencing it. The quirky tidbit here is that in some of the more artistic circles, patrons would commission musicians to play specific pieces of music they believed would enhance their experience. A kind of personalized soundtrack to their internal journey. You find yourself staring at a simple crack in the clay wall. It's a tiny, insignificant fissure, but in this moment, it looks like a mountain range from above. A vast, beautiful landscape of canyons and ridges. You can almost imagine yourself as a tiny traveler, walking along its paths. Historians still argue whether this kind of altered perception was a form of self-hypnosis, where the mind, already relaxed, was more susceptible to suggestion, or if it was a true, neurochemical change in how the brain processed information. It's probably a bit of both. The effect is profound, a reminder that your reality is not as fixed as you might have thought. The feeling of a soft breeze on your skin, perhaps from a slight draft from the door, feels like a gentle caress. The fabric of the cushions beneath you, which was just a simple textile before, now feels like the softest silk. Your body is heavy, but your mind is soaring, and you feel completely at peace with this duality. The hashish isn't making you forget the world, it's making you see it in a new, softer, more beautiful light. The conversations around you, which were once a low hum, have now faded into a silent, rhythmic backdrop, a gentle wash of sound that is a part of the air itself. You're no longer observing the world, you're immersed in it, a part of its slow, gentle flow. This is the heart of the journey, a deep dive into the beauty and wonder of the simple, everyday world, a journey you didn't even know you were about to take. You take another slow, deliberate breath, and you let the hazy, beautiful world wash over you. A soft, endless wave. You find yourself engaging in a conversation with a man beside you. You don't recall how it started, but you're deep in the middle of it. The topic is the nature of time itself. He's talking about how time, in this room, is a different kind of time than the one outside. Out there, he says, with a slow, deliberate wave of his hand, time is a river. It rushes forward, and you can only stand on the bank and watch it go by. He takes a long, slow draw from his own pipe. But in here, he continues, it is a lake. You can float on its surface, and you can dive to its depths. It does not rush you anywhere. Mainstream historical fact. Many 19th century accounts of hashish use describe a profound sense of temporal distortion, where moments could stretch into what felt like hours, and hours could pass in a blink. The usual linear progression of time seemed to melt away. Your mind, usually so structured and linear, finds this idea completely, wonderfully logical. You find yourself responding with an observation about how the feeling of a cold floor on your foot and the memory of a hot sun on your face from that morning can exist at the same time. A kind of eternal present. The quirky tidbit here is that many of the conversations in these houses would revolve around these kinds of philosophical and existential questions. Not just because of the hashish, but because the atmosphere created a space where such deep, abstract thoughts felt natural and important. Historians still argue whether this was a true intellectual awakening or simply the result of an altered state of consciousness making everything feel more profound. You lean into the conversation, your voice a soft rumble, and you feel a genuine connection to this stranger, a fellow traveler on this quiet, internal sea. You talk about the sound of the oud and the rhythm of the fountain. And you both agree that they are not just sounds, but the very heartbeat of this quiet existence. You laugh softly at a thought. A small, gentle chuckle that feels like a bubble of air rising to the surface of the lake of time. The conversation flows without any urgency, without any need for a conclusion. It's not about winning an argument or proving a point. It's about the shared joy of exploring an idea, of finding a moment of genuine human connection in a hazy, beautiful room. You remember the chaotic streets of Cairo from earlier and wonder how you could have ever felt hurried. The idea of rushing now seems not just silly, but alien. You feel your body is heavy, sunk into the cushions, but your mind is light, soaring, a part of the conversation, a part of the hum, a part of the lake of time. You take another slow, deliberate draw from the pipe, and the warmth spreads through you. A gentle reminder that this is real. This is now, and it is beautiful. The conversation drifts, and you find yourself once again in a peaceful, quiet contemplation, the words of your companion fading into the background, becoming a part of the gentle, rhythmic hum of the room. The lake of time is now a still, calm surface. The conversations around you have faded into a gentle silence. You're no longer in a deep philosophical discussion, you're just being. The peak of the experience has passed, and a new phase is beginning, a slow, gentle descent back to earth. You can feel the edges of the room starting to sharpen again. The shadows are no longer dancing sprites, they're just shadows, cast by the flickering oil lamps. The oud music is now clearly coming from a man in the corner, not from the air itself. The sense of wonder and profound meaning hasn't vanished, but it has softened, settling into a quiet, contented hum in the back of your mind. Mainstream historical fact: the come down from hashish, unlike many other substances, is often described as a gentle, non-jarring return to baseline. It's less of a crash and more of a slow, soft fade. You can feel the weight of your body again, the soft pressure of the cushions beneath you, the cool texture of the wall against your back. You remember the city outside, the dust, the noise, the hurry, and it doesn't feel like a threat anymore. It feels like a distant, inevitable destination. You're not rushing to get there, but you know you will. The quirkier tidbit here is that many of the patrons would have a small, sweet dessert, like a piece of Turkish delight or a small piece of baklava, on their way out, believing the sugar would help to ground them and bring them back to a more sober state of mind. It's a nice little ritual, a small, sweet goodbye to the haze. Historians still argue whether the physical effects of hashish, like the cottonmouth and the mild disorientation, were the reason for these rituals, or if they were purely a cultural tradition. You take a final, slow draw from the pipe. The smoke feels different now. It's still smooth and pleasant, but the magical quality has faded. It's just smoke, warm and familiar. You set the pipe down beside you. The gurgle of the water, a final, gentle goodbye. You feel a deep sense of peace and tranquility, a quiet joy that isn't loud or boisterous. It's a soft, internal warmth, a feeling of having been somewhere and having returned, safe and sound. The proprietor glides past, and he gives you a small nod, a look in his eyes that seems to say, "The journey was good, wasn't it?" You nod back, a small smile on your face. You feel a sense of gratitude for this man, this room, and this quiet, hazy refuge from the world. The world outside is waiting for you, but you feel ready for it now. You're no longer in a hurry. The lake of time, which was once a place to float, has now become a place to reflect, and you feel ready to get back on the river, to let it carry you forward. But this time, with a greater sense of calm and purpose. The hazy magic has faded, but the quiet wisdom remains. You stand up slowly, feeling a gentle stretch in your muscles that feels both familiar and new. The cushions, which were a sea of comfort just moments ago, are now just cushions. The room, which was once a magical cave of wonders, is now just a dimly lit room, full of quiet people. You nod a silent goodbye to the proprietor, who returns it with a small, knowing smile. He doesn't ask how your journey was. He knows it was exactly what it was supposed to be. You walk to the heavy wooden door, the same door you entered through, and you push it open. Mainstream historical fact: the social contract of these establishments was one of silent understanding and respect. Patrons were expected to arrive and depart discreetly, honoring the private and contemplative nature of the space. You step out of the door and back into the Cairo night, and the change is profound. The cool air hits your face. A welcome shock to your senses. The air outside is no longer thick with smoke and spices, it's clean and crisp, carrying the scent of dust and the faint aroma of roasting street food. The sounds of the city, which were once a distant hum, are now a real, present thing. You can hear the distant braying of a donkey, the soft chatter of a group of late-night pedestrians, and the call of a night watchman. The world outside, with all its chaotic beauty, is waiting for you. The quirkier tidbit here is that in some parts of the city, there were special night watchmen who would sing a particular, calming song as they walked their rounds, a kind of urban lullaby for the sleeping city. You walk through the narrow alley, the darkness punctuated by the occasional glimmer of a street lamp. The familiar feels new again. You remember the city from earlier today, the overwhelming crush of people and noise. But you're seeing it differently now. The beauty of the place, its ancient character and its vibrant energy, is not lost on you. You're not overwhelmed, you're a part of it. The journey through the hazy room didn't just give you a break from the world. It gave you a new lens through which to see it. Historians still argue whether the experience of these houses led to a greater sense of community among the patrons, a shared secret that created a stronger bond. You suspect it did. You've been on a journey with these strangers, a journey of shared silence and quiet contemplation, and you feel a sense of camaraderie with them, even though you didn't speak a word. You turn a corner and see a man selling roasted chickpeas from a small cart, the coals glowing a deep, welcoming red. The smell is wonderful, a grounding, earthy scent that pulls you back to the present moment. You feel a deep sense of calm, a peacefulness that wasn't there before. The journey wasn't about escaping the world, it was about finding a different way to be in it. You walk on, your footsteps a soft echo on the ancient cobblestones, and you feel a quiet smile on your face. The night is dark and quiet, and you are a part of it, a gentle traveler returning from a long, quiet journey into yourself. The city sleeps, but you are wide awake, in a new, wonderful way. You're trudging through the quiet streets of Cairo, the sound of your own footsteps a soft drumbeat on the ancient stones. The city, which was so full of life and chaos just a day ago, is now sleeping, a silent, beautiful giant. The air is cool and crisp, a final grounding sensation that pulls you fully back into your own skin. The memory of the hazy room, with its soft light and its gentle hum, feels like a beautiful dream, but its effects are real. The hurriedness is gone, replaced by a deep sense of peace. The world outside, with all its worries, is still there, but it doesn't feel so heavy anymore. You feel a quiet confidence, a sense of having returned from a great journey, and a feeling that you are, in some small way, a different person. The journey is over now, and the night is deep. The moon is high in the sky, a soft, silver disk casting a pale glow on the city's rooftops. You feel a delicious tiredness in your bones, a deep, bone-weary exhaustion that isn't from the day's events, but from the long, beautiful journey you took inside yourself. The echoes of the oud music and the gentle gurgle of the water pipe are fading now, becoming a soft, calming hum in your mind. The city is a silent backdrop to your return, a peaceful harbor waiting for you to come home. It's time to let go of the journey, to let the memories of the hazy room and the silent proprietor and the philosophical conversations fade into a soft, calming blur. The warmth that spread through you from the hashish is gone, but the quiet peace it brought remains. You're walking on, towards your own bed, your own quiet sleep. Your mind is calm now, a still, deep lake where the water is peaceful and the surface is undisturbed. The dreams, when they come, will be gentle and soft, a final, beautiful echo of the night you spent in a different world. So, let your eyes get heavy now. Let the sounds of the night, a distant dog bark, a soft breeze, fade into a gentle quiet. Feel the softness of your pillow as you lay your head down. And let the final, calming hum of the night wash over you. A lullaby from a city and a time long past. There's nothing left to do now. Nowhere left to go. The journey is complete, and a deep, peaceful sleep is waiting for you.